On March 24th, 1999, the NATO alliance began a bombing campaign against the regime of Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic. NATO hoped to stop the brutal attacks by the Serbian armed forces against ethnic Albanians in the province of Kosovo. After 78 days of NATO airstrikes, Milosevic agreed to pull his forces out of Kosovo and to allow nearly 1 million displaced ethnic Albanians to return to their homes. The conflict in Kosovo was portrayed as a victory for air power. But NATO warplanes inflicted surprisingly little damage on Milosevic's armed forces, and the Serb military remained virtually intact. NATO bombs and missiles failed to prevent the murder and abuse of ethnic Albanians at the hands of Serb forces, and unexploded NATO bombs continue to menace both civilians and NATO peacekeepers. In this chapter of The Lessons of Kosovo, we'll explore the limits of air power.
America's Defense Monitor, television for changing times.
In 1992, war erupted in the former Yugoslavia. The fighting raged for 3.5 years in Bosnia and Croatia, leaving 250,000 dead and 2 million people forced from their homes. The United States and its allies held Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic responsible for most of the carnage.
We have one person to hold accountable for this, and that is Slobodan Milosevic. For the past 10 years, he has exploited the very worst fears of the Serbian people.
In an attempt to extend Serbian control over the former Yugoslavia, Serb forces loyal to Milosevic systematically brutalized Muslims and Croats in Bosnia and Croatia.
The deaths, the destruction has been caused by this one man's appeal to the basest instincts of humankind.
In the fall of 1998, reports surfaced that Serb military units were attacking ethnic Albanian villages in the Serbian province of Kosovo. The NATO alliance determined that it would not stand idly by and allow a repeat of the Bosnian tragedy. NATO resolved to stop Milosevic from carrying out the ethnic cleansing of Kosovo. When diplomatic efforts stalled and the violence in Kosovo intensified, NATO decided to strike. Operation Allied Force had begun.
United States forces, acting with our NATO allies, have commenced airstrikes against Serbian military targets in the former Yugoslavia. Our strikes have 3 objectives. First, to demonstrate the seriousness of NATO's opposition to aggression and its support for peace. Second, to deter President Milosevic from continuing and escalating his attacks on helpless civilians by imposing a price for those attacks. And third, if necessary, to damage Serbia's capacity to wage war against Kosovo in the future by seriously diminishing its military capabilities.
NATO member nations were unanimous in their desire to stop Milosevic, but there were differences within the alliance over exactly how NATO's military power should be used against him. NATO's newest members, Hungary, the Czech Republic, and Poland, were fearful of the consequences of a long, destructive war in their neighborhood. And the entire alliance was wary of a potential backlash from Russia, Serbia's closest ally.
Do you say it's for humanitarian purposes, therefore it's not worth fighting for? You know, I doubt that that's the right answer. Do Do you say that it's for humanitarian purposes and we're going to go all out as if, we were being attacked in our own backyard? That doesn't really seem like the right answer.
Richard J. Newman is a military correspondent for U.S. News and World Report.
How do you begin a war like this with a level of intensity that can be decisive and still hold together a number of nations with divergent views about, frankly, whether NATO should even be going to war with this place in the first place?